Hi. Apparently I'm cramsnick and um back in my day when I was on the YouTubes, they didn't have going live as an option. You had to sit there and record things directly onto your computer, and then you had to take the risk of uploading it to the platform and just hoping it would upload while you went to bed. And you might have woken up and said, golly gee, I was asleep for 8 hours and it dismissed my download. And now I got to start all over. And at that point, we weren't, I mean, like, hello, welcome to YouTube circa 2006, where a person just sits in front of a camera and talks. I'm hoping that you can hear me. I'm showing little dots at the bottom of the screen saying, yeah, we're picking up some stuff from you. Cool. Good time, fun sauce. Yeah, but back in the day, man, I had a harebrained idea and do a little face tuning, analog style, where you just set up a light that gives you a nice contrast and maybe put on a little bit of makeup and make sure that your hair doesn't look like you just came out of a dryer, like a tumbling dryer. So that's fun. I'm wondering who the one person is who just pops in. Say hello if you want to say hello. There's all these features also that I was not dealing with way back in the day. So I'll say hi. Hi. All right. What? My friend gives me suggestions and I don't always listen to them because it's a personal thing. It's like, yeah, you're suggesting it. I'm not going to do that. I don't do that with everyone, but I do that with some people. And so this was a person that I don't generally take suggestions from, but did take suggestion. So started watching Undone. And all he had to say was, it's reminiscent of Waking Life. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that was a good one. That was a real good one. And then let me shuffle through my papers. Yesterday, I started listening to this dude that somebody posted one of his videos through SM AIQ. SM. Jesus Christ. I feel like such a bad person for not knowing exactly the name of his channel. So I'm going to look SMQ, but on Twitter at AI_SMQ. That guy. I've talked to him and he's super heady and awesome on the level, in my opinion. And so one of his viewers went ahead and posted this video that they had stumbled on, and it was talking about Twin Peaks. So it was this breakdown of Twin Peaks, but in a super meta level. And I was into it because I've had people tell me for years that I should watch Twin Peaks, but they haven't been able to articulate why they think I should watch it. Other than say, you're into weird stuff and that show is weird. And that's just too basic of an explanation. So even though this guy gives spoilers, show's only been out for a really long time, watching his video and how he broke it down with other concepts that I feel like I'm dealing with that have nothing to do with Twin Peaks as a show or as a concept, even other than it must be a greater concept. This whole thing of looping and trying to figure stuff out. And I'm going to apologize right now. I do smoke cigarettes and I'm going to be smoking on camera. And I apologize if that offends you because I know I should know better. But taking certain things into account, I'm not exactly sure how much it matters. So that's cool. I don't know why the light seems to get brighter, but it seems to. So I moved it. All right. So I made this list of movies that I've really enjoyed over time that have this similar looping concept and how they are obviously a script that is influential. So Groundhog Day, obviously, Waking Life, tied into Undone, Being John Malkovich, Schenectady, New York, Stranger Than Fiction, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Inception. A lot of these have the same director. So what we're seeing here is there is this occulted knowledge that we know is presented through media, and this specific script with the loops ties into these subscripts, which in real life and waking life for the human person end up taking precedence because of all the other fuckery. So what are those two scripts? Well, three scripts, actually. The loss of the mother, the loss of the father, but ultimately the loss of self. So I'm watching this stuff and I'm thinking about it because I lost my mother at the age of 4. And so I'm familiar with this script. It is played out in my life, and trying to figure it out has been a huge part of trying to function and build, find, create healthy relationships, healthy situations, and ultimately find forgiveness for myself. So when we look at the loss of the mother script, this nurturing, caring, always has your back, is looking out for you in a caretaking kind of way, and then replacing that person with a stranger that is supposed to take on those roles but is seen to do it inadequately, and then the inadequacy is subjective and the perception from either side is unique perspective as well, but that this lose the mother program in media is just prime real estate for a person who grew up like me, who ultimately followed a program of demonizing the stepmother, even though she wasn't a bad person. Pretty gross. And the apologies that are deserved and all of that. Yeah. Because let's face it, unless they're just a step parent is just like at their core a horrible human being. If they're getting with somebody with kids, they probably have a certain amount of care and are trying the best that they can with their limited knowledge and resources, like we all do in any new kind of job or new position that we're unfamiliar with, but we're willing to take on. So the mother is just so important for helping to create like land markers or time markers of where a person thinks that they should be in their life or receiving the support that they expect based off of other people's experiences, what we're told should happen. And when the mother is pulled in the media sense in that script, there is rarely a positive outcome from that. Something interesting in my life just recently is I just came upon a slew of children who were choosing to ask their step parents or step parents to be their adopted parents, like actually sign paperwork and legally take them on as their children. And my resistance was so strong at a young age that I couldn't see the goodness that my stepmother was trying to provide. And I was responding in total rebellion because I didn't acknowledge it as such then, but I see it as that now, that I was competing with a grown ass woman in a committed relationship with my dad for my dad's attention. And she wasn't trying to necessarily, well, I don't know. I can't speak for her. I don't know that she was trying to compete with me, but she got caught up in the competition regardless, because I was kind of, manipulating the world that way. So losing the mother's script is like losing your house, or losing your food, probably losing your food and your house, your safety and security. And then losing the father is like the ultimate provider. So one of the things I'm seeing with this losing the father is basically the question of who killed God. Where did God go? The whole Heavenly Father Trinity issue. And then, if the father is removed, the father is sort of the essence of tutelage in practicality and efficiency and survival. Like, the mother seems like she's a support system to what that is. And dude, I can't even imagine losing my dad at this point. I think that would be tough, because on one level, on the very earthly level of who I am today, there are a lot of conversations I need to have with him, or would like to have with him in this incarnation as who we are. But if they don't happen, it's not the end all be all of my survival. It's just something that maybe I should have put more pressure on at a point in time. And oh God, so where do you put pressure, and where do you not put pressure? And I feel like men are kind of fragile with pressure when women are the one pushing. And I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. I'm not about that. Whatever. Okay. So the loss of the father, and these loops. Okay. All right. So watching this Undone show and seeing its correlations to things like Groundhog Day and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and if you're the type of person who honestly believes that there is a rule that they have to show us what's going on, even if it's coded, then it isn't far left field to think that one of the lessons that is occulted, that's being presented through this show Undone, is the idea of going through, I don't want to ruin the show for people, but I do want to talk about concepts, because I like this stuff. Talking about how we repeat ourselves in time loops in reality over and over and over again, and the way that time has sped up and people have adapted to technology and the onslaught of everything, that those cycles are actually happening a lot quicker. Then the question is, when are you going to learn if you keep having failings. So instead of the elongated sort of Hindu idea of reincarnation over lifetimes, it's that you're having many lifetimes in this incarnation and then getting the opportunity through these repetitive cycles to refine the process and become better quicker. And I guess I just find that specifically disconcerting for myself because, yeah, dude, I make the same mistakes daily. I do. And I know I'm not the only one, but it sucks. And I've always kind of attached to an idea of that, like, perfection on some level. I want to be perfect. It's a nice idea, but realistically, I just don't, I just cannot conceptualize how that can be realizable in the construct that we live in. That's it. This is my fancy koozie because I don't want to falsely advertise some business for you. Looks like a gas mask. I think that this is great. Oh my gosh. Just like one weird little person or something, some computer, something is watching. This is interesting to me because like I'm probably on a list and they're just checking up to see what I'm doing, right? Like trying to make sure I'm on the up and up. What do you think of me now? So that's really all I have to say about Undone for now because I don't really want to give spoilers. And I'm only 2.5 episodes in, and I know that it's going to unfold beautifully in some regard. Bob Odenkirk, man. Bob and Tom, Mr. Show. I was a big fan of their very out there creativity. And what I get from this show is that this is next level stuff. And I'd like to think that they haven't been compromised as people, but I just was talking about how we're not perfect. So to some degree, I'm sure we're all compromised, but then it's the level of whatever that is. Debauchery. Here's a piece of paper that I wrote on a few days ago. And then I was talking about stuff on it, and maybe it's worth talking about it here. The quadrant of interdependence. What the fuck is that? Okay. I was thinking about independence, dependence, and then interdependence. And that people are so proud oftentimes to be independent, and they're, I don't know, they feel shameful if you call them dependent, like it's derogatory somehow. But the reality of the world is that we rely on interdependence. So I was kind of just like, looking at my own life like I do and trying to figure out stuff. Because charts and graphs and lists and stuff can help certain personalities work through things. So through this, I came up with the quadrant of interdependence, which take it or leave it. Like, I really don't care. I just don't. This is just how I go through my thought processes. But interdependence is the given, right? Nobody can do everything on their own. I mean, you couldn't even come into existence without an interdependence of cellular biological process. And so our view toward interdependence is completely a unique perspective based on the individual. And so you could have a lot of things coming at you that somebody else would perceive as very positive and very beneficial. But if your perspective says that you don't like it and it's gross or whatever, this and that, then it's not a positive experience for you. And you can't understand how somebody else could look at it and think it's great. So I started thinking about where we're in abundance of things and then where there's a lack for me personally in my life. And then I was also, well, no, actually, yeah, abundance and lack. And then there were the pros and the cons. So the top quadrant is where I have abundance, but I perceive it as positive or negative. And then the bottom half of the quadrant is where I feel like I'm in lack, but it's also positive and negative. I'll give you some examples. I am in abundance in the positive level of knowledge and responsibility. I think that those are good things. I think that they teach us a lot. I feel like I have an abundance of talents. I feel like I have an abundance of thoughts, care, curiosity, time, consideration, notebooks, ideas, stuff, whatever stuff might be, because I'm like MacGyver and I like to be useful. I have an abundance of love, words, convenience, and independence. And I do have quite a bit of independence outside of my interdependence because I'm responsible for making graphs, charts, and lists like this for myself. But what do I have an abundance of, which is not necessarily positive? Stress reactions, smoked cigarettes, empty bottles, stuff. So stuff can be beneficial and stuff can be not so beneficial. Mental dialogue, responsibility, which is on both sides. So when does the abundance of responsibility feel like a weight, and at what point is having an abundance of responsibility feel empowering? And then habits and behaviors. There are things that I have within myself that I self-perpetuate, that I have an abundance of, that are not necessarily that good for me or anyone or whatever. Working through it. So then we go to the bottom quadrant, which is where I lack, but positive or negative. Well, in the positive side, my life lacks in drama, junk mail, bills, multiple obligations at any one point in time, a real job, car payment, a dress code, a boss in the sense of like, I don't have a normal job, so I don't report like that. Comparable structure. So I lack comparable structure of my life to the lives of people who are my peers. And I think that that is a benefit or a positive thing because I enjoy being different. I signed up for that, I guess. But what do I lack in that is considered negative? I would say usable income. And I put that at the top because that's just the way that our world operates. So it looks like a lack and it looks negative because at a moment's notice, I can't necessarily do what other people do or whatever. And that, like, I like to take care of other people and I like to take care of myself. So when that lack comes up, that has to do with more than just a lack of usable income. It has to do with a lot of other perceptions that I have of the world. And take it or leave it. I have a lack of a car, although I do have a loaner car. My vehicle blew its engine basically a few weeks ago, but my folks are close by and they let me borrow a vehicle. And so now I can easily go to the grocery store and buy cat litter and other essentials without feeling like I have to burden anyone else too much. But also because I live 2 blocks away from a grocery store and I'm not going to take their carts and drive them to my house and then walk them back. It's not really my style. And I'm not going to try and look like He-Man or whoever by pulling the trick that I do when I'm actually in front of my house with a vehicle, which is put all the bags that will fit on both arms while then going to unlock the door and bringing everything in. It's just not feasible for me to walk that far with that many bags because I've tried to do that just out of pride and leaving the cart in the store and then one bag holding glass items broke in the parking lot and then luckily the glass didn't break, and there were nice people who were like, "Can I help you out?" And I was like, "Why was I just trying to outdo myself there?" Yeah. Okay. So then independence is also on the lack. So even though I have an abundance of independence, I also have a lack of independence. And this is, kind of the cross section of where interdependence is. Time. Time is also on the pro-abundant list. What is it? Idle hands do the devil's work or some stuff like that. I know exactly about time in the sense that there is no time, but there is time. We live in a construct of time. Nobody's telling me that I have to do the laundry or that I have to do the dishes or whatever. Not that I don't want them done because I enjoy clean clothes and a clean house, but that it's the pressure of projecting whatever you think other people are thinking about you and how you do things that will put the pressure on even harder. And so when I lack time, it's kind of because I'm breaking down these ideas and thinking about it. Lack creativity. So I get, because of this time issue, get sucked into things where I'm streaming live now. And I told my grandma, I'm like, listen, I feel inspired to do this right now. And it's live. And she's like, what does that mean? And I said, well, when they postpone your baseball games because they're rained out or whatever, and they're still going to play the game, but they're going to wait for the storm to pass. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, they paused the game and you have to wait until they come back on air. And so what I'm telling you is if there are certain things that you would like us to do now, because you think you're going to want to do them shortly, then how about we do them now? Because if you call me and you say, I want to do this now, then I have to stop and I have to pause. And I believe in divine timing, and that just by saying it out loud to her and saying, this is what I'm doing, that this is how you can relate to it, she gets it. And I don't know why I'm not more basic more often. Let's see. I have a lack of appetite these days. I feel like there's something growing inside of me. but it's not a baby. I feel whatever it is cutting off my appetite in a sense that, yeah, I still want to eat and I need to eat, but it's not feeling normal or like it used to. And so I put it under a negative or a con, pro con. I put it under a negative because people all the time are telling us to eat. Look at this. My body has stuff it could live off of for a while before, emaciation sets in. So let's see. A lack, a negative drive. I just do not have the drive. Somebody medical is going to watch this and be like, you need to go to a doctor right away, because if you don't have an appetite and you have no drive and you're thinking about time like this through loops, let me send you a reference. Drive in the sense that this has been kind of an elongated process that has been going on since 2011. Okay. The loss of drive, dark night of the soul. People go through it. I still like to paint. I still like to write. I still like to create music and stuff like that and be creative. But the isolation factor has been very unfulfilling, and it brought me to a place where I asked myself, what is the point of this beyond my own medicine and cathartic need? Because what I really feel would stimulate me and fill me up would be to actually have collaborative stuff. And so my friend Alessandro in Italy, who I've never met in real life, was translating my writing into Italian and sharing it with a different audience. And that started a beautiful conversation out of other things, and then led to music creation. And he's taken a step back to do his own stuff. And that's been really fulfilling. And it's given me a lot of power, and in that interaction, having a lot of drive. And then now that he's stepped back, my drive isn't feeding off of his drive or participating so much with his drive, because it feels like I'm being forced to have to re-examine what that looks like for me. And so by doing this, like restarting a YouTube channel, doing a couple little beta feeds of fun, whatever, then coming back here tonight, putting my face on YouTube again, which is so not my favorite idea. Not really what I want to be doing, but there must be a reason that I'm feeling a drive at all to go in that direction. So there's a lack of drive, but it's only in comparison to earlier or other parts of my life. And I think that can be, changeable. Direction. Yeah. So direction ties into drive for about, so does focus in social life. All these things, drive, direction, focus, social life, they are all these byproducts in the negative, in my perspective, making the quadrant of life choices. So my life choices are about caring for other people, and not doing the greatest for caring for myself. Always getting run down and tired. And so there's been an imbalance where I'm not exactly sure that I have a vision of what I think life should look like or what I want it to look like, because I'm open to things happening and I don't expect the worst. I just don't necessarily feel like trying to rewrite somebody else's script, because that seems to be the offerings that people have is you can look at somebody else's story or their experience and wish that you were that, and then try and write your life to fit that same path. And I don't want to do that. That's not of interest to me. So going with the flow or seeing where it goes, super frustrating at times. And it changes trajectory in a large way where you're not trying to push the world to conform to what you want it to be. That there's a great submission and a certain abandonment of oneself that goes into that. And it's interesting because I know I could do more, I could be more, I could try more. I'm talking on here because I want to talk to people, not because I want to be a celebrity or to even necessarily make money off of this or anything. I I'm just really sick of feeling alone and then building these weird lists, graphs, and charts that I just talked to myself about. Just basically what this is. Okay, social life. So yeah, social life takes a huge hit um when you're not about the normal path. Uh they're trying to make it seem less so because of festivals and people being like unconventional and fringe or whatever. Uh but it's the flip of it. It's like, oh, we're going to turn what headiness is, what working on yourself is, what it means to actually serve your fellow human in a genuine way, and then also deal with the personal consequence. It's like it's not terribly social, I don't think, when you're not trying to mimic somebody else's script. And I think it was when I started YouTube initially, like 2008 or something, when I initially started YouTube, it was kind of my response to not wanting to be in other people's plays anymore. That I wanted a platform where I could express myself genuinely, unscripted. And even if it did kind of fall into a script in some level, at least I knew that I wasn't trying or going out of my way to purposely mimic anyone or write stuff down. I might make notes to myself, or I might write like little sketches where the ideas are there. But dude, I don't, I don't have that same drive. I want to have that same drive, but I don't. So with social life, I am currently 39 as of a week and a day ago. And I don't know a lot of people my age that have taken similar paths. I know a few, but not many. Most of them have kids and have been married by now and maybe divorced and have careers, have maybe been successful, perhaps even died. Social life, no, not really. Okay, mutual growth. Mutual growth. I feel like a chapter human where I get to be in people's lives for, if there's a series of books, I might be part of one book in a series, or I might just be a chapter in a book. But mutual growth in longevity, which I feel is a negative thing, is I think the most mutual growth that I've experienced in this lifetime is with my dog, which I'm pretty sure is reincarnated from my other dog. So take that or leave it. Emotional support. Also, feel like I'm lacking it on the human sense, and that my dog has picked up most of the slack in all regards. It's freaking crazy. I'm okay with it. I'm not just okay with it. I love it the way that it is, but as a human, you just want more. And I want more emotional growth and mutual growth and emotional support in mutual emotional growth with human people. Not even human people, but the spirits that exist within these people we call human. When it happens, when the conversations happen, when the connections happen, it is so intoxicating and fulfilling and exciting, and I could ride off of it for days. And it happens less and less and less. But then there are huge waves of it when it does happen. And I don't know how you can take a huge wave like that and parcel it out over time so that you could get a hit of it every day. I mean, that's what it is. It's sort of a dopamine hit. So that was the quadrant of interdependence. So then I was looking into the cosmic law of interconnectedness, which apparently somebody says you look this up. Somebody does say that there is a cosmic law of interconnectedness, and it led back to a Chinese monk with the name Fa Sang. And what else did I write here? Reconnection with partnership of creation that supports, embraces, and amplifies best attributes while holding space and communicative healing of wounds and fear. Ordained next level love, the kind that is specifically meant for your highest purpose, being growth, happiness, development, and blank. Fill in that blank for yourself, I guess. So then it's like, so I'm asking myself, what do you want? What do you want? Because you didn't have a 5-year plan. Pretty basic, really. I enjoy the thought of wanting joy, laughter, enriching conversation, union, creativity, safety, growth, stability. Still a sucker every now and again for a cute face, so maybe a little TLC, but not enough to try very hard, obviously. This is going to be great. I can tell. All right. Well, I've talked for 43 minutes and 55 seconds about something relevant in my life. I don't know. I'm going to upload and live stream whenever the hell I want to, within reason, because believe it or not, I have some time on my hands, and it seems selfish to just sit here and ruminate on my own, because I'm creating these weird little secret, they're not even secret, you can totally find me, it's not hard, but these weird little connected accounts under different names for the sake of being cathartic and Sometimes I want to paint a painting, but I cleaned everything up already and I don't want to make another mess. And it's going to be easier to plug in a microphone and press live stream than it is for me to justify pulling everything out again and making a mess with paint. And some days, you know what? I'm thinking too fast to write, and I would prefer to write and save my typing for the blogosphere when that feels inspirational. So basically, I'm just creating tiny little nodes of creativity for myself where I can go to those little nodes and try and express myself the best that I can within that realm with less mess. Because I don't know. I mean, I can't even imagine what the janitor of the greater internet looks like. You know, you like you want to clean up your hard drive, like there's probably some little tiny janitor guy going through the servers. Just nobody needs to see that. All right, it was pleasant talking to you again. Talk to you to get in today. Talking to you again today. I might come back later. After Grandma goes to bed, then it's game on. I'm not, I'm not afraid of being interrupted from live streaming. But since we had the talk, then I was able to. Hi, this is me. Hope you come back again. If not, I don't care. Have a good night.